Okay, perfect.
Okay, so welcome to the session, the video. I'd like to hand over now to Igor Shvets, who's going to be giving us an introduction into Dynamics 365 for sales. Igor.
Yes, good morning or good day, everybody, depending what time zone you are in. Okay, and first of all, I want to thank Victor and all of you who take your time during this an easy time on the weekend to listen to Business App presentation. So welcome. Okay, so this presentation is going to be about Dynamic 365 for sales. My name is Igor Shvets. I'm an independent consultant working with different business applications. This is a picture of me that you can find on the LinkedIn. And if any of you wants to connect with me, please connect to me via LinkedIn or any other social media. Would be a pleasure to talk to you. So what's going to be the session's objective? The session objective going to be about talking about career possibilities. Obviously, this is the Empower session. We'll cover what is Dynamic 365 for sales, why is it important. We're going to do an overview of an app, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. So please, I don't think there are still many of us, so let's, if you need to correct something or have important question, please ask. If not, we'll leave it to the end of the session. Okay, so basically, the next step is the intended audience for the session, right? I'm all expecting that you're very, very new to this application, right? If you're an intermediate or an expert, that's probably going to be not very interesting for you. So it's really intended to give you an overview of Dynamic 365 for sales. Like, as I mentioned before the meeting, some people say that Dynamic 365 for sales or service or field service, they're dead because everything goes to Power Platform and you build the application from scratch. But honestly, I don't see that happening. There is so much built-in functionalities and capabilities that it's important to understand. The personal reason why I wanted to do this session, because right now we're all affected with the coronavirus, and having a career that allows you to make a reasonable income while working at home or part-time, it's very, very valuable. So I hope you find this presentation interesting, and looking forward to connect to every single one of you after the meeting. So little bit of career and statistics, right? I get many different questions from people. They want to get into the IT. They have very different backgrounds. So you have this recruiting firms called Nigel Frank. And every year they do a survey of people who work in the Dynamics field. How long you've been working? How long have you been working with Microsoft Dynamics? What experience you need to have with Microsoft product and non-Microsoft product. So if you look at this graph, no matter what you do, it could be very beneficial of you. So if you look at the work experience of the manpower today on this slide, you will see that about 24% of people have 1 to 3 years experience, which is very junior for me. Another metric that I found extremely important and interesting is experience with other Microsoft products. So by looking at this, you will see that you can have an absolutely different background to work with business application. As you can see, 59% have Office 365 experience, but this is a given, but 54% have experience with a SQL Server. Personally, I don't find it surprising because I find people who come from a database background, for them to pick a business application, it's relatively quickly. It's relatively easy because business applications, it's a very big, fluffy layer, but it's still layer over a database. You will also see that Skype for Business, it's out of there as well. 29% Microsoft Azure. So this is something to keep our eye on because I'm expecting this number to grow significantly. So this is for experience, and Let's go to the next one. That's going to be another extremely interesting statistics. So the statistics is for different jobs you can have, okay, in the dynamics field. I give you a salaries of Canada and United States. Based on a personal experience, I find it slightly higher than what I see as the salaries in the field, but it's not much higher. I think there may be like 10% off based on a personal experience, right? And again, if you look at the different job titles, right, they vary from solution architect to technical or functional consulting. I can already see the question: can you join? Can you change the career and start a career in business application without knowing of software development? The answer is yes. You can do it. You can become a functional consultant. As you can see, you can still make a pretty decent living out of it. You can be pre-sales consultant. You can be project manager. So many different options are open and available for you. Granted, if you want to go to technical and solution architect, that obviously pay more than anything else, or I would strongly suggest to be familiar with the software development. Because so far in my career, I was never able to finish a big project without software development. But it doesn't mean it will stop your career, right? It will mean that you have to work in a team with somebody who can do it for you, right? So please take a look at those. Please take a look at the statistics, take a look at the job description, see what fits your interests and ambition and passion. And if you want to know more, you can connect to me with the LinkedIn, because I think I've done pretty much most of the jobs that are in this list. So feel free to reach out, and I can provide any guidance that I can for you. All right. All right. Okay. So what is, okay, sorry, the mistake in the slide. So what is the Dynamic 365? Dynamic 365, it's a model-driven app that's built on top of Common Data Service. Common Data Service, this is something you're going to hear. It's something you're going to hear very. It's something you're going to hear very often. It's pretty much look at it as a database that resides on a cloud, and the application logic is built on top of it. Okay. All right. Okay, so what is the benefits? What's the benefit of using Dynamic 365 for sales? Basically, it's the benefits for salespeople that they record all of their activities inside one single application, right? All the interactions with the customer, all the process where you stand, all the pricing information, all the product information that you have, you keep it all in one place. If you need to share the record, you can easily share the record with your team, with your manager. Your managers always know the statistics, where they stand, where you stand, where your team stands, where they go. If they have any objectives, they can easily create an objectives for you, and you can attain those objectives. And also, let's not forget that Microsoft Office, it's very easy to integrate with all the Dynamics 365 apps. Okay, so who is using a Dynamic 365 for sales? You will see that you have a lot of serious companies who are currently using it. There is a big adoption even amongst Fortune 500 companies. So just by having a quick look at this image, you will see that the industry adoption is very high. And we're only expecting for this demand to grow higher and higher. Okay, so all right, so Dynamic 365 for sales. What are we going to talk about? The important, each app has it's important entities, right? The entities, it's what are the features of the app that should yield the most. You have the activities, all the emails, the tasks, you have accounts, you have contacts, you have leads, and you have marketing documents for this. Marketing documents, it's your sales process. It's what steps you need to go from the lead when the sales process is started to actually close the deal. So let's see how this. So let's see briefly the interface. So when you open Dynamic 365, you open it inside the Sales Hubs. You will see those most important entities. The first thing you open to the dashboard, and here you can see real-time performance of where the sales process is. You see where you stand, where all your open leads, what are your open opportunities, all your close opportunities in the fiscal year. And also, if you need to drill down, you can see all the records that are connected to it. Actually, sorry, a little bit of a housekeeping. I hear the noise. So if you don't speak, could you please put yourself on mute? Okay. So you have, so here you have all the opportunities that you have. Now, if we look at the activities, what are the activities we can have? Activities and interaction between the business and its customers, right? So every record has different activities you can attach to. Most of them you're going to be using, it's the emails and the phone calls and the tasks and appointments, right? The activities can be in the open and closed status. What it means is when the salesperson speaks to the customer, or they received an email, or you receive an email, everything ideally needs to be recorded, right? There should be no interactions with the customers that stays in the Excel or the other format. So Dynamic 365 for sales allows you to have all this information organized in one place. So let's see what they can be. So let's say you have your tasks. So if you click on a task, you can provide a subject, let's say test, and you can attach it to any existing records. Alternatively, you can go inside the marketing documents. We'll see it a bit later. You can attach it inside your opportunities or your quotes, any order or sales, or an invoice. Okay, so as the next step, we'll see. Another thing important to understand is the account. Account represents the company, organization, or the group of people, okay? Usually when you sell something, most of the time you're going to be selling it to a company, okay? You're not going to be selling to an individual person. Let's say a Boeing is a company, Volvo is a company. So before you start selling, you need to configure the accounts. So you can either create it from here, or you can do it directly from the opportunity. We'll see. So when you open an account entity, you will see a lot of relevant information, right? Each account will have its name, will have a phone, the phone number, the contact. You have the fax, you have the website. You can have a parent account. Often you're going to have a hierarchy inside the accounts, right? So you have a parent account that can belong to, you have a parent-child relationship. That's something that happens very often. Obviously, you have the address of the account, and here on the account related fields, you can add the different tasks as well. So if you have any appointment, if you have any emails, any phone calls you make, you can click. And phone call activity will be added to the account, right? So spoke to customer. Customer could not reach. Save and close. So as you can see, all the interactions will be inside the same entity. Often, what you see company do, they integrate Outlook to the Dynamics, and you can send and receive emails directly from Dynamics 365 Sales without the need to go to any other third-party application like Outlook to do it. Other relevant fields that you have inside details. You can specify industry, which becomes very, very important, because if you working in a large company, accounts are going to be separated into the different categories, right? You have the industry. Often when I see, I don't think I've implemented a single Dynamics 365 for sales without accounts being segmented much further, right? Into the vertical markets, into sub-markets, etc. So you can add different custom fields to be able to work with it more efficiently. The billing side, this is a little bit touchy, because often I think this is extremely important. This is the extremely important tab, but in order for that to be used efficiently, it often needs to be connected to your it often needs to be attached to your ERP application, right? Because the credit limit, the credit hold, usually this is something you need to synchronize with your accounting information. The reason why I think it's important often is because when salespeople start talking to the customer, you have to make sure that the credit limit is available for the accounting to proceed the sales transaction. All right, so what else we need to have here? Okay, so for this, it's gonna be sufficient. Do you have any questions about, if you have any questions about accounts, so please, you can ask now, or you can put it in the meeting chat. I'll be able to see it. Another one is, so the next important entity is going to be a contact. Contact, it's a person you speak to, just like in the Microsoft Outlook, okay? So think of the account as a business, and a contact, it's going to be and the contact is going to be a person. So in one account can have multiple contacts associated with that. So you will see that a contact entity is actually extremely simple. There is often not much there, but it's important. For us to have it, just in case, because you need to record the person you're actually speaking to inside the account. Okay, so you have your first name, the last name, the job title, the account name it belongs to, email, phone, etc. So also when you look at the contact information, you will have the associated opportunities, cases, or any other entitlements that you have for this particular customer, for this particular contact. You have extra information for this person. Often it's going to be used for statistical purposes. So the general idea is to have as much information as possible there. So, all right, so let's just go to another slide. I'm trying to go fast because I see time is ticking here. Now that we know the entities we're going to be selling to, that could be accounts or contacts, we need to look at product, okay? And product, it's a little bit of a complicated, it could be a little bit complicated process, right? In order to create the product, you have to go through different steps, right? Optionally, you can create a discount list. What it means is when you sell when you sell a different quantities of the products, you can give a different discounts. Okay, let's say you sell between, let's say you selling water bottles. If you sell between 0 and 100, it's going to be one price. If you sell more, it's going to be a different price, right? The next thing you need to create, it's the unit groups and units, because when you sell something, you have to specify that what are the units? Is it going to be each? Is it going to be a single can? Is it going to be a bottle? Is it going to be a car? When you sell it, you need to be aware of this. So when you create a product, after this you actually can create the product itself. The product itself after needs to be put in the price list. Okay, you can have one default price list, or you can have a different price list based on the different requirements that you would have. What price list basically means is how much the item is going to cost, how much you want to be selling those prices. Okay, it's very important to have this work done before. This way, the salespeople, when they sell something, they don't have to worry about. All they need to worry is about of how are you selling, of how to sell and not the price, right? Because I've seen a couple of companies that do not implement price list properly, and it creates an enormous overhead for the salespeople. And after this, you sell a default, and after this, you set a default price list for that. Okay. So before we look at the creation of the product itself, just to have a better visibility, let's create a simple opportunity, because there is something I want to show you. Okay. Let's say you want to create an opportunity. You'll go to new. It's going to sum up what we've seen before. Let's call it first sale. Opportunity is going to be the initial opportunity. It's going to be the initial step when you actually speak to the customer about a potential sale. The fields that have the red dot, they're mandatory fields. So you must always so they must always have a value. Everything else everything that doesn't have a red star, this is an optional field, but ideally you should have as much information as possible. So when you look at the account, you choose the account that you want to sell to. The currency is going to be defined at the account level. I always suggest to put a purchase time frame. Let's say it's going to be this quarter. Here you can describe the current situation, customer need, and proposed solution. So what you can do Control S to save. I just want to create a simple opportunity for you to have a feel how it looks like. Then we're going to go into more details on the sales process. So as you speak to the customer, you can add different activities, and after you can go to product. You can pick a price list, and you add a product, right? So this is what we're talking about. This is what we start talking about the products, because you need to choose what you're selling. You have two options. Either you choose an existing product, that's a product that actually exists already. Let's say it's a spare tire, that one that I created. Or alternatively, you click here, you can have a write-in product. System will allow you to do this, okay? So some people will tell you, yes, it is possible for you to actually sell something in Dynamics without going through the complex process of creating the product, but I would strongly recommend. I would not recommend doing this, right? Because every time you write something manually like this, the reporting from it becomes almost impossible to trace, right? And when you And when you put the price manually, it's very, very hard to track. Did you sell it at the optimal price? Did you sell it under the cost? Basically, it's impossible to trace on a product that's a write-in. Although a system allows you to do it, but I strongly suggest you do not do it. So as you do it, the opportunity will calculate all the products, all the product information. But my strong suggestion, when you ever work with the system, create your price list, create your unit groups, create your discount lists. It's going to pay off. It's going to pay off a lot in the future. All right, so let's go next. Okay. So first thing is the first thing you need to be aware of discount list. Okay. It's not a mandatory step. It's an optional step, but often I find it's very needed. So you can put here discounts that can be applied to the percentage or the amounts, right? So for example, if you sell between a certain amount of quantity, you can say you can put the discounts. So just bear with me. Okay, so let's take a look how the discounts. Okay, let's look at the discount list. All right. So here's the discount list. The first thing you need to do, you need to define it. Let's say we've created a discount list for bottled water reseller. So you create a discount list, you give a significant name, and you put a type as a percentage, and then you select discounts. So what do we have here? So for the discount type of the water bottle reseller, if we sell between 100 and 200, we give a 30% discounts. Okay. Does it make sense? Does anybody have questions? Okay, let's put it in the chat. I'll take a look at it, or just unmute yourself and say it, because I know it's an abstract concept, but I wanted to go to these details because often if you're not a software developer and you want to make a quick jump into Dynamics apps, for you to understand how to configure accounts, how you can configure contacts, how the sales process works, and how to create all this, that could be first initial intro. It could be your first job of how to administer your dynamic application, right? So it doesn't mean you have to understand everything right now. That doesn't mean you have to be comfortable with it 100%. I just want you to see that this could be a door for you to be able to jump into Dynamics field. Start with something like this. Help your company with their sales process. Configure the products. Configure their price lists. Configure the discounts. I don't find many people who know how to do it properly. So very often, I think you will be asked to pretty much to step up and do the additional tasks. So in no time, you will be able to do things that are more interesting than that. So this is why I wanted to go over all of this features. All right. So let's go next. Another thing you need to understand is the unit groups, okay? How you sell it. Let's say you're selling a water bottle. When you have an opportunity, when you have your sales process, are you selling bottles by bottle? Are you selling them by 6-packs, 12 packs? Are you selling cases? Are you selling pallets, okay? All this you can put inside opportunity, okay? If we just take a step back and look at it, yes, it's a great feature. Yes, system allows you to do it, okay? The drawback is you really have to be comfortable with this approach, right? In my experience, unit groups have to be kept to the minimum, okay? Unless you really master it, okay? I know very big company, I work with them. They actually never use unit group just because they're afraid to get confused, okay? So no matter what they sell it by the quantity each, let's say by one bottle, even if you sell 1 million of them, okay? So just for you to be aware, the unit group exists. It's much more visual when you create when there are during your sales process. But if there's one thing you should remember, it could be extremely confusing to manage, right? So just keep that in mind. So the unit groups. So let's say I create active unit groups. Let's say it's going to be bottles. And the unit is going to be a bottle. So you can say it. So let's say if you need to create a 6-pack, you would create another unit with a base unit being a bottle. So if you want to go to this approach, so please be aware that they exist. Okay. Also, move to the next. You have product relationships. Product relationships. It's pretty rare when you sell something, you want to sell one product, right? Your idea is to always try to upsell, cross-sell, substitute, or accessory, right? So what Dynamic 365 for Sales allows you to do, if you've done your homework right, and if your system is properly configured, it allows salespeople to have automated suggestion what else they can sell to the customer. So for example, you're selling this 24-liter water bottles in bulk. System, you can set up in a way that when you sell, let's say 20 bottles, system will suggest you, do you want to maybe add a water cooler with that? Or let's say you sell a luxury car, it will suggest to have extra warranty. It will suggest extra tuning, any other feature. So this all you can configure beforehand inside the dynamic system, and this will make the salespeople job much easier and ultimately increase sales and the customer satisfaction, right? Because this is what we want to do in the end of the day. So the sales, so the direction of the relationship can be unidirectional and bidirectional. So let's say if you sell one, the relationship is available only from one product to another. 2 ways. If you sell product A, it will suggest to sell product B. If you sell product B, it will suggest product A as well. So again, this could be a part-time job in itself, just setting the product, setting the relationships, and monitoring all this. Okay, just give me a second. So sales. So if you look at product, let me see. Take a look at. We'll look at all active products here. Okay. So once you create a product, when you actually finally create the product, you can give the product name, you can give a product you can give a product ID. You set up the unit groups. You create the price list. Some details. And here at this stage, you can create a product relationship. So when you, let's say, double click on it. So for here, we said that for the spring water bottle, you can give a related product as the accessory, and it's unidirectional. So when we're going to create a sales document, you will see that when we're going to be selling this water bottle, the system will prompt us if we want to sell another product as well. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the price list. Okay, the idea behind price list is to customize the pricing tiers. So in this example, you have the retail, wholesale, and a distributor. So here depends on the price list that you have, right? And depends on the type of customer. You can set a different price. Okay. The reason, again, like I said before, it's important because if this set properly, your sales process becomes very visible, very transparent, and the salesperson who's on the phone or who's dealing with the customer, he doesn't need to go back every time and think what kind of price to give, what kind of discount to give, right? All they need to do, just select the price list, and the pricing will be given automatically to the salesperson. So and it's very important. Each product must belong to a price list. Okay, you can have one price list per company, doesn't matter, but they must be there. So when we look at the price list, so let's say we look for the price list for water that's in Canadian dollars. So the context is for sales. You have start date and end date. Okay. For the purpose of this, demo, it's not something I put values, but my strong suggestion: always have start date and end date for no matter what you're doing. Okay. This way, you force records not to become obsolete, right? What you can do, you can create a special flow that will notify you if something is about to be expired. But it's important to have an end date of everything. This way, you don't have with the legacy. You don't dump with the legacy data. Okay, so. Category prices, price list items. So inside the water price list, you have different items, right? What they specify here, that in the water price list, you have, let's say, the spring water 24 liters. That's the unit is bottle, and you have the water cooler, and you give him the special and you give him the prices. So when we choose this product as we're making a sale, those prices would appear. Also, you can have a territory relationship to your price list, because often, let's say, I live in Montreal. Prices here, it's a bit cheaper than in New York. We know if you want to sell in New York, we can sell slightly more expensive. So we can attach the price list to the region as well. Okay. Do we have any questions about? Do we have any questions about the price list? Anything of how to configure the product? Okay, either stop me or send it in the chat. I'll take a look at it. Okay, give me a sec. All right. All right, let's go to the, if not, we'll go to the, okay, we'll go to the next one. Okay, the next important point, okay. After we look at all the details of what the account is, what the contact, what are the product, what are the basic things you can configure on a product. It's extremely important to understand that slide, right? Because with this slide, I always find even experienced sales people have really hard time grasping it, okay? So I can guarantee you, if you master this slide, you're going to be within top 10% of your company, okay? And it's extremely simple. I don't know why people don't take time to understand it properly, okay? It's extremely simple. It's just, I don't know, people have a huge difficulty. Your sales process has different stages, okay? It has a qualification stage, it has development stage, propose, close, and fulfill, okay? Why this is important, okay? On a qualification stage, it's very important to distinguish between opportunity and a lead, okay? And again, I've seen people who work all their life in sales and still fail to make a distinction between them. Okay, a lead is somebody who you think you want to do business with, okay? But you haven't talked about anything tangible, and you do not know if the lead actually, sorry, I have a quick question here. Can the pricing and the quantity data be imported in bulk? Yes, all this information actually can and should be imported in bulk. Yes, so for this question, if you want to reach out to me, yes, not only it can, it should be imported in bulk, in my opinion, right? Because it gives you a better visibility. So, okay, going back to the lead is, okay, lead, you're not sure yet if you're not sure what they want to buy, you're not sure they're qualified, okay? The moment you speak to your lead about a product that you want to be able to sell, it's no longer a lead, it becomes an opportunity, okay? For me, lead is when you don't talk about anything tangible yet, okay? You're still analyzing the possibility. So once the lead is qualified, if you've done your job right, you have three things that are created. You have the opportunity that's going to be created. You're going to have an account that's going to be created, and the contact for this account based on, and we will see it in the demo shortly. Okay, so once you qualify the lead, if you've done all your homework, the three things will be created. Now, inside opportunity is you have a lead that you qualified, you know he wants to do business with you, you're still not sure how much they're going to buy. So what you do, you start developing it. You contact the customer, you say, this is what we have, let's talk about this. Sometimes you need to take the process back in the home office, prepare the proper offer. So all this development stage, all this creation of the sales team if necessary, etc., this is your development stage. This is opportunity. Once you came up with something tangible you want to be able to show the customer, once you have something that's almost ready to become a legal document, you change your opportunity to the quote, okay? And quote, it's your proposal. You create something. Obviously, quote can be accepted or rejected, normal. If quote is accepted, good, we've done our job. Now, the next two things are a bit touchy, okay? Order and invoice, they're a bit touchy. Why they're touchy? In my experience, orders and invoices actually go inside the ERP system, okay? I think I only used it once in my implementation of order creation, because when the customer sends the PO, we attach it to the order, but this is normally where it stops, right? Because when you have a purchase order, the rest needs to be recorded in the accounting system, okay? So order and invoice, it's unlikely that you're going to be handling it inside CRM. Other people can have different experience, but normally, in my experience, everything ends inside quote. So this process, it's important to master by heart. It's probably the most important slide of this demonstration. And also, if you work for the big enterprise, the big firm, often what happens is at a quotation opportunity level, you have a very powerful tool called CPQ, configure price quote. Often you're gonna spend a lot of time trying to configure the product that you're going to be selling to the customer, right? One of my contract was with Otis Elevators, and they had sometimes they would spend a year configuring the quote. Okay, it would be very long. They have to be, like many things would need to be ready for that. So this process and configure price quote could be career in itself, right? So I suggest you take a look at that. You have question, contact me on LinkedIn. We can take it offline and chat about it. So this is this slide. So let's see how it looks in the real life. Okay, go to sales. So we'll start with the lead. Okay, so pause. So let's put topic maybe by so it's going to be John Doe. It's going to be say lawyer. Potential number. Not my number, so company Union 1. Google.com. Can put an address to that, and you will say save. Okay, so the system is going to be thinking right now. So what you can do, okay, so what you can do here for this potential lead, you can record stakeholders. They're going to be all the different contacts, okay? Usually it's for the bigger, if the lead is big, you want to see who else should be connected to this lead. Somebody you need to, it could be a law firm, it could be a broker, it could be somebody else, okay? So you need to record it there. You can also record a competitor. So if you lost a lead to the competitor, you want to be able to at least monitor who's the potential competitor. Okay. And the timeline is thinking right now. So at this point, what you can do, you can qualify or you can disqualify, right? So if you disqualify, it will become saved as disqualifying a lead. It will be disqualified as a closed lead, right? Normally, you don't delete anything from the system, right? If you qualify or disqualify if necessary. If you qualify, because here you see it gets create opportunity with an account or contact associated with this lead. It's saved as a. So let's say we're going to qualify the lead. So lead successfully qualified. Okay, and if you remember, we create what we have if we have the opportunity, right? We've created the opportunity. It created the new contact. It created the account. It created the contact, and we still have our competitor right here. So here in the opportunity, you can add product. if you want to sell it, you can follow a predefined steps of you qualified, you identify customer needs, you propose the solution, you identify stakeholders and competition. This is the suggested steps, right, to follow. You can create your own. It's not part of this presentation. It's it's a different session, but you could set your own process. You can even set it aside and go through this. You can do propose if you can move different stages. So now we have the opportunity. We worked on it. We know more or less what we want to sell. We'll choose the price list. Obviously, in the real life, I always manage to automate it, but for this purpose, it's going to be like this. You add product. We're going to use existing product. We're going to use our water bottle. And we're going to give a quantity of 150. And we do save. Okay. If you remember, in the price list that we have, right? In the price list, the price was $20 per bottle. We created a volume discount of 30% if we sell between 100 and 200. So what it did, it took the price here and applied the discount automatically. Okay. So this is why all those steps that I showed in the beginning are extremely important, okay? Because what they do, they allow you to, if you do this job correctly, salespeople on the phone, all they have to do, click, 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 everything is calculated. Let's say they sell 50 bottles, save. The volume discount disappears, right? Because at this point, we did not reach the threshold. Let's go back. So we have our product. At the product, another thing, this is very, very powerful, okay? It's properties. The properties, you can define them at the item level, and you can give a lot of different custom values to them, okay? Let's say I created the color. You're able, let's say, to set the color of the bottle. You can give a lot of different attributes, okay, to this. This is extremely powerful feature because you can parameterize your sales to the very great extent. So let's say you save. When we click on suggestions. Oh, I forgot to put it inside the other item inside the price list. But if it was under the same price list, for the spring water bottle 24 liters, we would have suggestions for the upsell, cross-sell, or accessories, right? So as the salesperson works, he'll be able to see immediately what other things he can offer the customer, right? So if we've done our jobs correctly, everything is okay. So the next step is we can create a new quote. Can create a new quote. And we're running out of time a little bit. Okay, so after we created the new quote, this is when it's ready to be sent to the customer, right? Right now, you can still add things to the quote. You can still play around with this. Once you, okay, sorry, I just clicked something accidentally. I'll be back. I guess it's Saturday for everybody, right? Even for the system. You can make modifications here. Let's say you want to be a quantity of 51. You say, sorry? Was that a question? I think I heard somebody. So once you're ready, once you're ready with everything, you just activate the quote, and well, you can create a PDF and send it. So let's say if you print PDF, it's going to be a default one. It's not going to be a pretty one, but you can have a very pretty quote you can design for the customer, right? So you can have a quote you can send. If you made a mistake, you can revise your quote. And you will see the revision number will change. So let's say you click on activate when the changes are complete, and can close the quote once you're. Okay, hold on a second. Looking at the time. Okay, once you finish with the quoting process, you can create an order. That's your next step. This is when you're sure with the customer that you wanna that the sales is happening. You will set the status with the status 1, right? If you lost it, you would lose it. You would close the originating opportunity and calculate actual revenue from the quote. What it's going to do, we changed the amount on the quote lines. So if we change this amount, it's going to recalculate the opportunity to the new value. So if you will click OK. It will create a new order. And usually in this step that I force everybody to record a customer PO. That's you receive the purchase order from a customer. So here you'll see you have the opportunity and the quote that's related. So if you go to originating opportunity, we will see that it's read only and the status is 1, and you're no longer able to modify it. Okay, we have 3 minutes. One last thing I want to show you quickly. It's very important. Its performance is the goals, right? Once we've done our jobs correctly, once everything is rolling, the opportunities are being submitted, customers are happy, we want to be able to monitor our goals, right? Because each salesperson, each sales department have their own goal. You're able to set up goals, right? You set up the goals for the period. So let's say I have opportunity totals. You set up time period. You can go for either custom period or by quarter. You have your target here. Let's say $100,000 target, and you also have the actuals. How, like, what are your sales so far? Okay. If I do recalculate, it should update. So you're able to sell. So you're able to set a sales target per individual, per group, and you're able to sell the sales goals for any field that is not a text field. If I remember correctly, you can send a goal for how many sales calls are made to the customer. You can set a target of what's the global sales they need to bring in, etc., etc., etc. So at this point, I think we're a little bit running out of time. Let me see if I skipped anything. That's the goals. One last thing you might want to look at for, it's the gamification. We really did not have time to look at it right now, but take a look at it. It's something that I find sales managers enjoy this. You can take the goals and take it to the new level. It's an extra application that you do a game, you do a competition inside your team, who's going to sell more, etc. Right? It try to put some fun into the game. Okay, so take a look at that. If you want more information, reach out to me, please. So for the further information, okay, honestly, the best place you can have right now to learn this, it's Microsoft Learn. They have so much information there, it's ridiculous. You can look at a lot of things on YouTube and Udemy. Dynamic 365 community events like Dynamic 365 Saturday. I try to be as active as possible. Amazing. You have the documentation. But by far, the best resource, I think, is this one. It's Microsoft Learn. So I can still stay for a couple of minutes. So because I probably need to look at my kids and change the diapers. So, but I still have a couple of minutes. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Recording this.
Hey, Igor, it's Chris. I actually had a
Hi,
question
Chris.
about unit groups.
Yes.
I know you said that more often that they're not typically used because they can get pretty confusing to manage. But would you say that unit groups might be more appropriate for, let's say, maybe like a distributor or a wholesaler instead of a reseller, since a distributor or wholesaler typically sells in bulk quantities, or not necessarily? Because I don't really have a lot of experience with unit groups, and they were confusing to me, and I'm just trying to think of like different scenarios where it might make sense where you would use them.
I think they're amazing. You just have to make sure people who use it, they master them.
Okay.
That's pretty much what it. I think they're amazing. Is just please master them, because if not, you will be. Because you need to do a lot of extra work to be able to not to sell under cost and just choose the correct one, right? Because I've seen a lot of cases for it like to be extremely confusing, and like I know a company who sells for $500 million and they don't use them.
Wow,
So
okay.
I've seen the very big businesses being able to live without them. But very happy. But look, why I spend so much time doing this, because we have people who start their career, and if they called upon to manage Dynamics 365 for sales, well, they're gonna have unit groups, right? And if their job is to manage them, they will have to be aware they need to master them.
All right, cool, thanks.
No problem. I have one more question, if I missed, but is there can log input inventory? Oh my God, Gulshan, if I hear correctly, inventory. Oh, okay, let me take a step backward. Inventory normally should not be recorded inside the sales application. Okay, we can pull it off. Please don't do that. Okay. Please don't do it, because if you want to monitor your inventory, you have ERP accounting systems that are just there for it. Okay, I've seen inventory being managed inside the sales application or field service, but don't do that. There are ways to do it, but don't, unless you have the exception is like I work with a company, they make 3 sales a year, but they're huge sales. They were selling pipes, right? So if it's that simple, yes. But if you have parts, etc., don't do that. So hopefully it answered your question. Does the suit follow typical? This is Harish. Does the suit follows the typical like? Yes, it follows the cycle, yes, but the thing is you can customize to whatever you need. Okay, the beauty of this system is those processes are fully customizable to your needs. Okay, it's important to have a clear distinction what CRM takes care of and what ERP system takes care of. So usually end up long conversation with accounting to basically agree where the responsibility of the sales stops and accounting starts. So yes, you can define it to your needs. Okay, any more questions? Thank you everybody. I'm still here for another few minutes if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question or type a question inside
Okay, for now though, I'm just going to end the recording now unless there's any more questions. Nope. Okay.
All right.
So the recording is now